Hello and welcome to Property Investment Blueprint Podcast. In today's podcast, we have an amazing lady. She's been doing absolutely crazy. Her name is Toyin Davidson-Ero. Toyin Davidson-Ero is London-based property investor. She's highly skilled entrepreneur, a chartered legal executive with a background in property litigation, founder and host of Property Pillar Club, which is a successful London-based property club for professionals. Toyin is also a property blogger and a property investor and a writer. She's been in various television channels like the BBC, and she had her own program in Sky News recently. So Toyin, welcome to Property Investment Blueprint Podcast. So we're really super excited to have you here with us today. And thank you for actually taking your time to join us today. Really appreciate that. The story isn't good unless people know where you came from and how you started. Tell our audience how you started and scale your property business to probably a multi-million pound property investment portfolio.
Oh, first of all, thank you, Rahim, for inviting me to join your platform. Thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate that. How did I start is the question.
Yes, tell me a bit about yourself, and then obviously how you started and how you've been able to actually start and scale your property investment journey.
Okay, well, my background was always in law. I qualified as a chartered legal executive in 1998.
Okay.
And property litigation was my bread and butter business, which meant that I was dealing with a lot of landlords and a lot of investors, represented them in litigation disputes. So that was where my foundation in the knowledge of property law started. But after 20 years of practice, I was a bit tired of doing that. I wanted to diversify and use my existing network to do other things. So whilst I had a big database of investor landlords, I wanted to work with them in a different way. I wanted to work with them with the view to helping those investor landlords to increase their portfolio and to find suitable matches for them in the property game, especially in the development space. And I found that I was very good at bringing people together, organizing structures, putting things in place to enable people to perform. So on one hand, I had a lot of investors who had funds. On the other hand, I had developers who had projects who were looking for private equity. Right. So I was able to put the two together, A and B, and create a process where this person will meet that person, they'll partner with that person, invest in the project, the development will come through, everybody will get a return, and we'll all celebrate. So that started with me. And then from that started the Property Pillars Club, which is what we have today.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I remember people talking about property thinking it's a very sort of daunting job. It's all about connecting, bridging things together, and then obviously foster a win-win resolution, which is literally what you're doing. And Property Pillar Club is one of those platforms that would really help people who may be interested in actually doing things like that, because you've got developers who need investors. If you are there in the middle helping them connect, it would only foster a win-win resolution. As you know, there's so many business opportunities out there. You said you were working on the legal sector or in the legal sector. So how were you able to actually distract yourself or literally leaving what you're doing now and then concentrate in literally scaling your own property business?
I was very fortunate because with the Property Pillars Club, there was members who were people who were very busy with their careers, who wanted some help with doing things with they don't have the time. So they had funds and they needed somebody to help them do something with it. So what I had in my hand was a cup full of potential partners. So what I wanted to do was to create an arrangement for them that would give them what they wanted, which was financial freedom. So I had the knowledge, I had the team, and I had the time. So what I was now doing is partnering with them on individual projects so that they were able to see returns for their investment. So we're always winning. So if a person came to me and said they got £50,000 and they were very busy and they wanted to do something with it, we will look at a specific project that we would source internally and look to do purchase, refurbish, and refinance with their money and give them a positive return back. So we had a number of those opportunities coming from being in that community. So that's how I was able to scale my own property journey up.
Wow, fantastic. Thanks very much for that. Especially with busy professionals like doctors, pharmacists, they are the people, or someone who's, or bankers, for example, because we've been approached by these sort of people saying, listen, I've got this money, I don't really know what to do with it because the interest rate in the bank is not doing me any good. Could you really help us make this money work a lot harder? So obviously you doing that, living in London, I think it would be a good opportunity for anyone who's listening who's a doctor, pharmacist, who don't really have time to actually physically invest in properties. Maybe you may be a good person to actually contact. So again, we will talk about that later on in the interview anyways, how they would contact you and all that sort of thing. But before we get to that, I know when you started your property investment journey, it's not just about to bridge gap. Okay, there's something inside us. You have inner core that actually makes us say, you know what, property is this one thing I want to do. What is your why? What really gets you to say, you know what, I need to do property. Property is the thing that maybe would connect. What is the reason why you went into property investment industry?
Well, it was something that, being property law was my background. It was almost an inevitable natural step for me, because it was the area that I'd specialized in. Landlord and tenant was my specialist area. Housing law was my specialist area. So I was very familiar with that territory. So going into it as an investor seemed like a natural progression from what I'd practiced for years as a lawyer. So that's how I found myself doing it.
Right. Okay. Fantastic. Thank you so much for answering that question. As you've been in the property game now, probably for over 10 years or so, I know it is kind of a male-dominated. Personally, that's what I think. So, what advice do you have for females that think property investing is a male business?
In my experience, it is partly true that it's male dominated. A lot of the people in our club are men. A lot of the people I work with are male. I sit on the board of a few companies, and quite often I'm the only female amongst the group. So it is true, but it's an opportunity as well for the females to rise, because they are looking for more people to enter into these key roles who are female and who especially are Black or Asian. Yeah, so it's an opportunity because there aren't enough of representation in that space. So rather than see it as there aren't many of you, see it as an opportunity for you to get in.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. I'm just going to probe you a little bit in that question because I'm seeing the same thing as well. So if I was a female, I want to get into the property investment journey, and I'm worried that maybe I'm going to be bullied or I'm going to be dominated by men. So what is that one thing do you reckon as a female entrepreneur you need to have in you to be able to actually, for example, your board, you may be the only female there. What sort of skill or mindset do you need to be to actually be actually able to work with this in such environment?
It's the knowledge.
Yeah.
You've got to build yourself up, get the right training, get the right exposure, so that when you sit on the board, you're talking at the level, at the language that it's palatable, respectable to them. So it's about what you know and how you can execute what you know. So train yourself, get yourself exposed, get yourself educated, get yourself knowledgeable, and stand your ground. Then you will be on par with the big players.
Fantastic. Thanks very much for that. So I hope for those who are listening, who are contemplating or procrastinating about it, thinking that it's not for them, here you go. Toyin has just given an amazing advice. You know, you go there, educate yourself, immerse yourself, surround yourself with these people that are doing. If it happens to be female, fantastic, right? So surround yourself with them and then try to learn what they're doing and pick the breadcrumbs, and then eventually you'll be able to do exactly what us as males are doing in the property investment industry. So just to tap into the property investor side of things, Toyin, I know there's so many property investors out there, or people are trying to start their property investment journey. I don't know if you've come across with deal sources or things like that. So what do you reckon a property buy-to-let investor or a property investor know that a deal sourcer do not know?
You see, the task of a deal sourcer is really, really important, because any property opportunity starts from the source. And that's why working with very good deal sources is key to any opportunity you get. I don't play around with my deal sources. When they bring something I'm ready to pounce on it. The opportunity is only as good as the person who sourced it. So, because sourcing is no walk in the park, sourcing an opportunity takes a lot of time, a lot of expertise, and you need to be able to identify a deal and package it to the person who wants to buy it in a way that it looks very credible and juicy. So we work with sources very well, and that is a career path in itself. Companies source for people like us are doing a great job. I mean, knocking on doors, sourcing opportunities is a career in itself. So I really regard people who do property sourcing, because we need them.
Absolutely, we need them. We need property sourcers, we need deal sourcers, because they are the people who go out there, like, search for the deal, negotiate it, close it, package it, and send it to you. So I have my own sourcing company as well. We do property sourcing, and we've been helping lots of landlords. We've helped over 1,000 investors now since we started our deal sourcing business. So it is a very, very good business to do. But as an investor, I'll always advise you to do your due diligence in any deal you see, and don't just take our words for it or our due diligence for it, because I think that way then you won't just get a better deal, you'd also learn the process on how to analyze and understand exactly what sort of due diligence you need to do in that area, right? And also, Toyin, just a quick one as well on this one. So, lots of people think property investing is a very expensive route, very hard to get into. And what advice do you have to people who think you need lots of money to start your property investment journey?
It's not true.
Okay.
The reason why it's not true is because sometimes you get opportunities where people who have money just need somebody who has the knowledge and the time.
Yeah.
And you're able to work with the person who has the money, and you have the knowledge of the time, and put something together for both of you as a partnership. So yes, for those people who say you need your own money, it's not always the case. The developments I've done with partners, none of my own money has ever gone into any one of the projects.
Brilliant.
I've worked with the developer, I've worked with the investor, none of it. And there's been 1.3 million, 10 million, 4 million transactions going on. None of it was ever my money, but I've been the person who has brought it together. So I've been the person who had the knowledge of the developer and his requirements, and the knowledge of the partner and their requirements. I've brought the positions together to make it work for everybody. And that has been one of the things that Property Pillars platform does.
Wow, fantastic. Thank you so much for actually sharing that, because this just tells you that it's not about the money really. It's about knowing the skills, as you said, educating yourself, surrounding yourself with people that are doing what you're doing, and trying to find a gap where you can bridge to help both parties involved. I'll give you an example of myself. I started my property investment journey from zero to building a multi-million-pound property portfolio. It's not before I started, I was told I need a ridiculous amount of money, to be honest, because that's what I was told. I need a minimum of 60 or 70,000 pounds. Only to realize or educate myself and understand probably I don't need nothing to actually start my journey. The way I started my journey basically is by partnering my then landlord. So by using a strategy called rent to rent. I told him about the strategy. I said, listen, it's an amazing strategy. I'm able to go and get a property. He said to me, Ryan, because he's one of those old schools landlord. He said to me, Rahim, if you can get someone to literally lease their property to you for minimum of 3 years, I would put all the money in. I was like, really? He said, yes. I went out working. It took me about 6 or 7 months to get the first one, but I never ever give up since I realized that I don't need 60,000 to actually start my property investment journey. I went there, got the deal, presented to him. He didn't believe it. I had to take him to the landlord for the landlord to confirm that it's a 3 years deal. And then he put all the money, and that's how my property investment journey started. And so for anyone who's thinking he needs money, it's not about the money, it's about what to adjust. It's about educating yourself, surrounding yourself with people who are doing what you want to do. And obviously try to surround yourself with positive people.
Sure.
Which then drive me into the next question. Your enthusiasm and energy is what draws me to you, and I've looked up on you online, searched about you. I see the energy, I saw your YouTube videos, all your interviews. So what really keeps you going without losing your energy and enthusiasm?
One thing about me, I'm somebody that I have a lot of energy, naturally, and if I want to do something, I do it with everything within me. I'm a very energetic person, and I'm also very passionate. So when I found something that I love and I like, I put everything into it. So it's just my nature. That much I can say.
Okay, so what is that why? What literally wakes you up in the morning, right? What really drives you? Because we all have a driving force. For me, it's my family, for example, right? I don't want them to wake up in the morning, there's no food to eat, we couldn't pay our bills. I'm just worried about, because I was in that situation a few years ago. So that is my driving force, and obviously helping people use property as a vehicle to actually invest, get a passive income. So what is that why? What is that one thing that gives you all that energy to do what you're doing right now?
I think it's in my DNA.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of passion behind what I do. I could say that my children are my why. I could say that my life is my why. But really and truly, behind the children, behind everything, there's still an element of a desire to naturally achieve great things. Yeah. So for me, my why is inbuilt in me. It's my life. It makes me happy. It makes me jump in the morning. It's a reason to get up. It's a reason to go and run. It's a reason to exercise. It's life. I've got to keep challenging myself. I've got to keep moving higher. I've got to keep working harder. That's my why. I do it because it's life. That's life.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that. Well answered. Really appreciate that. We've talked about hard times. I know we had COVID. We had so many some of us have so many personal things. I'm definitely inspired by someone who overcome hard times. Do you mind sharing a time or event that was really, really hard time for you and how you overcame it?
How much time have we got to discuss this?
As long as you want, but if you can be precise, we'd appreciate that.
I can't begin to describe. My story is hard anyway. In the sense
that was about that.
Yeah, I'm a mother. I have 3 children.
Oh, bless you.
I have no husband. I'm divorced, and I have been so for many years. And so most of my married life, I was on my own anyway. So for me, every day is always somehow a battle, because like you, I don't know what your position is. For me, I start at 5:45 every morning.
I wake up at 6.
You start at 6. Okay, not far off from me. But I get up, get my 3 kids sorted. Well, one of them is old enough. The others are a bit older, but make sure they go to school, come home. I'm a mother. I clean the kitchen, do their breakfast, get myself dressed for work, run the day at work, and then go and pick my children from school, and then spend time with them. If I begin to talk about all the challenges that come along the way of running my diary, running the diary of 3 kids, running a company, a club of 500 members, you can imagine the challenge. And I have projects here, there, and everywhere. I have meetings that go to 9 p.m. on developments I'm building in Purley. I'm doing something in Ealing. I'm doing another one in Billericay. There's a lot of reason for me to sit down and cry, but I just get on with it. It's hard, but you're a winner. I always say myself, every race that you run is your race, and there's nobody else on that race course with you. As long as you don't look to your left, you don't look to your right, you just keep running, you're the winner. You will always be. So that's my perception of life.
Absolutely. That just reminds me about someone approached my office yesterday. I did a quick 1-minute reel on it on Instagram. Basically, he came to the office frustrated. He said, "Oh, there's so many stuff happening. He thinks he's not doing well. He wants to progress." He started to compare himself with what he sees online. I told him, "Okay, let's look back then. This time last year, what did you have?" He said, "Oh, this time last year, I only had 1 property." I was like, "Okay, From then to now, how many properties have you had? He said, I've had about 3 properties. I said, you see, you've progressed, right? From 2 to 5 property. That's a massive, that is over 50% or 100% increase in your personal investment journey. I made him realize he's done absolutely amazing. But what literally bugged him is about what he see online, how people are doing so many stuff online. He's thinking he's not doing anything. So I've told him, listen, stop comparing yourself with anybody else but yourself. As long as you're doing something better than what you did yesterday,
yeah, sure,
you are doing really, really well. Compare yourself with what you did previously. And then he went away. After he's met me, he sent me a quick text and said, Rahim, thank you so much for that. I really appreciate that. And also he's realized he's achieved a lot. So I really like the way you've actually narrated that. It's not a competition, it's not a race, right? No. Everybody have their own unique path. So thanks for that. Last main question, then we go to fun quick fire round question. In the property investment world, business, social media, or society, I see in this first world, there is a problem of overwhelm. So many social media channels, everyone throwing at you, everything is being thrown at you. See people buying houses left, right, and center, driving big cars, sharing their lavish life online, buying houses and all that sort of thing, right? How do you deal with overwhelms? Because you manage so many projects, as you just told me there. How can people get rid of that overwhelm and literally stay focused?
Organization, having a structure, and having a system in place. As much as I say that we run these projects, which is true, but we've also got a team of professionals who behind the scenes are doing project management role, project developers, constructor site managers. So you have to put yourself in a position where you're the CEO of those organizational structures. But beneath you, the people who run the operations on the day-to-day basis are running it smoothly, and you're overseeing and checking on them. Because this type of thing, I definitely can't do it. I have 2 or 3 PAs who work with me within the club, and I've got a legal officer. I've got all these projects. The developers are in charge. We've got managers there. We've got project managers there, architects, builders, plumbers, construction. All those main contractors are all involved on the ground. But I'm not physically there, and I cannot physically be there. So the key thing is to get a structure in place and get people systems in place that operate these systems for you. That's the way we work, and that's the only way really you're going to be able to scale up.
Right. Okay. So what do you tell people who literally are bogged down on social media, seeing all these influences going around? What is the best advice you could give to those sort of people, especially for the female audience?
A lot of them are just fake.
I like that. That is direct.
They don't talk about the hustle. They just show you the glory. You know. Yeah. I was told a story about my daughter who's 16. She said to me, there was a girl who used to fly luxury plane, first class. And one day she got caught out. She was on the plane and she went into the first class cabin and she took a picture of herself, posted it that she was first class. And then she went back downstairs in the economy where she actually sat. And somebody took a picture of her, taking a picture of first class cabin and shared it on social media and hashtagged her saying, this girl, she didn't actually sit in first class cabin. She sat in economy, but she snapped a picture of first class cabin and made it appear as though she was actually living a high life, when in fact she wasn't. The point is, it's fake. You see, you should connect with people who are real hustlers, who are going to tell you the truth, who are going to tell you the journey, who are going to tell you the pain, who are going to tell you the struggle, who's going to tell you the blood, sweat, and tears. Those are the type of people you should hang out with, not the people that decide to show you a picture of a Lamborghini and a Bentley and how they got it overnight. No money comes quickly, no money comes overnight, no money comes easy. No. Tell the truth and set people free. And don't give people false hopes that if you do this, you get this. You don't know what it took to get to where people like me, in fact, we're not even yet there. We're hustling to get there.
Absolutely.
You understand me? We're still at it. 187 YouTube videos later. How many people is going to dedicate 187? And each video is about 2 hours of production time that I've made. And then you say that, oh, Toyin has made it. Can you make 187 YouTube videos about 2 hours each on property? Can you dedicate your time? Wow. You see? And then they now begin to say, oh, she's a big girl. She's not a big girl, she's a hustler. She's a woman that works like a donkey, makes it happen. When you pay the price, you win the prize.
Absolutely.
That's the thing people don't want to hear. And I think it's deceptive when people are made to feel that you can make property easy and glamorous, and you don't know what I have to go through. You understand me? The challenges we have to face, the planning applications, the litigation that comes from certain elements of the planning process, the disputes, the resolutions, the negotiations, the financial, some loss, some gain, the time, the COVID. What else do I want to begin to tell you? Managing the expectations of the investors, mitigating against financial loss. And in a development, 1,000,001 things can go wrong, you know. It's a high risk strategy. So I always like to position people in the place where they know the truth, as opposed to being presented a pipe of lies and lead into a place where it would lead them nowhere. Because it's a tough game, and you've got to be strong to win it.
Absolutely. I really, really relate to that. You know, I have my estate agency that do management, lettings and all that sort of thing. And as a landlord as well, and having lots of development projects going, I totally understand that. Currently, just before our meeting, I was at a site, right? What happened this morning, we've got the kitchen delivered last night. The carpenter was there, only to find out the drawings, the plan doesn't tally with the electrical works. And I had to go there this morning. I was literally rushing to get here. I had to get the suppliers in, get the carpenter in, and get the electrician in this morning at about 8 o'clock. They turn up at 8:45. Right? So I have to quickly tell them what I want to do to make it work and all that sort of thing. I totally understand that. And I've got various projects going. So it will never go the way you plan it sometimes. You try to mitigate the risk, obviously, as you've said. And this is what I've been preaching to people. We've got people that are telling potential investors that you can get a property, just have a stud wall in it, convert it into 5 lettable rooms. There you go, you're done. They literally sell the dream. I know they're trying to inspire people to actually take the next level decision. But for me, you could do that, but at the same time, tell them what the difficulties it is so they know what they're facing. Because I usually have in average 10 people ringing me from different courses they've been to. They've been told how amazing it is, how easy it is. They only to ring me to actually tell me about their frustration, right? But they're literally learning from it. So I really like that. With your property pillar club, I would love to actually attend one of those one day, just to see how you're inspiring people to actually take that level of step to ensure that they know both good and bad of it, because it's an investment journey. It's like a journey. It's not that good, but if you stick to it and then obviously stay the course, you would literally get a handsome return on whatever investment you've made or time.
Sure, absolutely. I agree with you, and I like that. That's the way it should be presented, yeah.
Fantastic, thank you. Quick fire round questions now, okay? Worst advice you remember receiving?
Oh, the worst advice you remember? Somebody once said to me, who do you think you are? You think you're Oprah Winfrey? When I was hosting all these shows, having people on the property platform, and that's the worst advice. Well, one of the worst advice I can ever. I just find it funny. I think there's some people who want to negate your efforts because they haven't got the tenacity to get up and do what you're doing, and they don't like to see a strong woman taking the lead, especially in this sort of male-dominated environment. But I don't listen to negativity. I take it upon myself to turn negativity into positivity and work my race irrespective of what people think. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, I get negative. I have haters as well.
Of course, haters is they're the one who makes us grow, aren't they? Because the haters get us to grow.
I get people complaining about all sorts of things I do on Facebook. If I send a picture, I get hate mail.
Really?
Yes. It doesn't bother me.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me either, so like I get this now and then. I got people sending me some silly messages, but it only gets me stronger. I look at the message. If there's anything I could improve from that message about me, I do it. If it's just a negative sort of comment, I just ignore it and pretend like it never happened, basically.
Sure.
Best advice you remember receiving?
Best advice I received? Never, ever, ever, ever give in. Never give up.
Wow. Yeah. I like that. I like that one. That is a good one. That's a good one.
Keep fighting, keep moving.
Yeah. Who is your favorite sportman?
My favorite sportman.
Yeah. Or I would say sports star. It could be female or male.
I'm not sure. I got a crush on Anthony Joshua. I love Anthony Joshua.
Right. Okay. Good. Good.
That's all. I suppose you can call him one of my favorite, but I'm not even into sports really.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
Anthony Joshua is a very inspiring and obviously someone who's achieved really, really well in the boxing world. So I love him as well. He's doing amazing. Looking back at your 18-year self, what would you have done differently?
Looking back at my 18-year self, what would I have done differently? I would have started property investing earlier.
Right, okay.
Especially in the development space. That's the only thing I wish I'd done a little bit earlier.
Why?
Because I enjoy it a lot. Okay. And although I've always wanted to be a lawyer, so I practiced what I wanted to practice, but looking back now, I would have possibly achieved a lot of things quicker had I gone into it a lot sooner.
Yeah.
The opportunities were very different then. And I think that, if I'd gotten there earlier on, it would have possibly made a big difference in my financial position today.
Okay, thank you. What was your inspiration growing up?
My mother was my greatest inspiration. My mother was a strong woman. I looked up to her. She was the type of woman that had a lot of tenacity, a lot of strength, and just kept the ball rolling, so she was somebody that I would say she really inspired me a great deal.
Fantastic. Your biggest regret?
My biggest regret, I don't know if I've got any major regrets, because I always see things like anything you do that doesn't work out for you, you learn from it.
Absolutely.
So there's nothing I've ever done that hasn't turned into a positive. Even if I've lost from it, I've turned it into something that I learned from, so it will never occur again in my life. So because of that, I don't think I've got any major regrets.
I like that. I like how you turn negative into positive. So that is very, very good. Thanks for sharing that. So you may have answered this question already, to be honest, but who is or was your role model?
My role model. Who's my role model? I'll have to think about that one.
Okay, no problem. We'll skip that one. Is there something you believe that lots of people disagree with?
Is there something I believe in that maybe a lot of people
something that you believe in, but lots of people disagree with?
Yes, there is actually.
Which one?
Oh, this was a controversial one. Yeah. I'm not trying to share it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would disagree with me.
Right. Do you want to share what that is?
Well, it was a discussion. I was on a relationship program with a friend.
Yeah.
And we were talking about monogamy and polygamy and the Western culture and the African culture.
Yeah.
And I'm of the opinion, and I know a lot of people would disagree with me. I believe that the idea of monogamy was a Western concept that was inbred into the African culture.
Yeah.
And I think the default setting of an African man, in my opinion, is polygamy.
Yeah.
I believe that most African men by nature would or can have more than one wife.
Yeah.
That is my father's great grandfather, that was their culture.
Yeah.
So I think the idea of having one woman with one man in Africa was inbred into the culture from Christianity.
Correct.
And the concept of that was taught, whereas that wasn't the way it was then.
Yeah.
In Africa. So a lot of how can you say this? So
listen, Toyin, I relate to this. I'm from Africa as well, by the way. I know. you hardly see a man with one woman. Okay, it's kind of a norm back in Africa. So obviously it's been engraved in Africa. But looking at the Bibles or the Quran, suppose I'm a Muslim, to be honest, I'm not gonna be, to be honest, it depends. Most men are naturally polygamous. Okay. Yeah. It is just unfortunate that the women have been told men are monogamous, and I don't want to go deep into relationship stuff because I'm not an expert in it. But most of the men or women who's got, I would say men that's got one wife or one partner, they may have a side chick somewhere else.
Exactly.
Wherever. So and I'll tell you that now we've got leaders that have been caught doing that. I don't want to name names. You're talking about billionaires, you're talking about prime ministers here, right? They said they've got one wife, but they've got lots of chicks on the sideline, right? So I totally understand. And with my culture, and back in the days, basically, even the king had about how many wives? Yeah, right? Yeah. The king has so many wives. But yeah, you're right. It's been engraved in us now to have one wife and obviously one man and one woman. So yeah, I understand that. Yes, it's difficult for people to understand that perspective, especially if they're not from Africa. Because in Africa or say the Middle East, it's kind of a norm, Yeah. But yeah, I totally kind of agree with you there.
But you can get people who don't like that idea. You see.
I know. What is the best book you've ever read or listened to?
The Word of God is the best book I'll ever read and listen to. And if I'm given the opportunity to read and understand the thinking of God, that is the mind that I want to adopt. So yeah.
Fantastic. Does money change you?
No.
Does money make you happy?
No.
Is there something you used to strongly believe you recently changed your mind on?
Is there something I used to strongly believe that I've recently changed my mind on?
Yeah.
Yes, actually there is. I used to believe that people were fundamentally good until they became bad. But recently, I realized that people are fundamentally bad until they become good.
Wow. I like that. Is there something in the world you fundamentally think is wrong and you would like to change?
Yes.
Tell me.
The narrative and the perception of Africa.
Yeah.
And its people.
Okay.
In a Western concept.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that's wrong.
Okay. Do you want to elaborate a little bit more so we can learn from it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's enough education, even in the curriculum of the UK, on the positives of the nation of the Black man and his history.
Yeah.
I think that even our own children are not given the best impression of their own countries. I think there's a lot of stuff that goes around the narrative suggesting backwardness, the poverty, that this is there, but we don't get enough of a balanced view on the African culture, the love, the warmth, the community, the richness, all those things. It doesn't come across in the narrative that they're being taught, whether it's on media, whether it's in the press, whether it's at school. And I think there should be more emphasis on educating the West about these positive elements of the African people. And that would bring about respect of our people, and less hostility and concept of racism may become reduced when people understand that these people are of value, of great wealth, of great history, and those sort of things. So yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that. Actually, I relate to that as well. I had a new friend I've met recently. I told him where I'm from. He had the impression that he had two impressions, basically. The first one was he thought Africa is one country, right? He thought all Africa is one country, and he thought the whole Africa is at war. Whenever I asked him, oh, would you like to visit Africa? No, there's a war, there's civil war in Africa. I was like, I had to spend time with him for like a couple of days just to talk him about Africa, teach him about the countries, to tell him we've got West, East, South, and North of Africa, tell him about some countries, and I had to literally show him some videos of an amazing places in Africa, because he's been engraved in his mind that it's only war in one country in Africa. Has been told it's very dangerous. Never ever go there. It's a jungle. So I was able to literally talk to him, explain stuff to inspire him, and now he wants to visit Africa because now he realized, one, it's not one country. Second, there's peace, right? So I'm absolutely on that with you. So if there's any way I would help contribute, if you're working in anything on that, I'm literally happy to work with you on that basis to educate people, for them to understand our culture. It's a distinct culture, and it's a culture that is very good to embrace, and they're caring, loving people, and it's a peaceful continent as well.
Yeah.
So there are lots of good things there.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. Absolutely.
This podcast is called Property Investment Blueprint. What does Property Investment Blueprint means to you?
It means that Rahim is bringing up people that will inspire others.
I like that. I like that.
That's what it means to me.
Okay.
A man is getting off his backside, bringing people in the forefront to educate and inspire others is the blueprint for success.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate that. Final one. If there was only one person you'd love me to interview, who would that person be and why?
I mean, somebody in the property space?
It could be ideally property space, but it could be anyone that would inspire people like ourselves to actually start their investment journey.
Speak to Daniel Moses.
Daniel Moses, okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's my friend and a brother.
Okay, good.
He's doing great things too.
Okay, fantastic. Good to know.
Daniel Moses.
Right, okay, Daniel Moses. Okay, anybody else that you reckon we could get in contact with?
Do you know my friend Tonu? Abba?
Yeah.
I'll give you her details. Tonu's really good. She's doing some great stuff in property at the moment, HMOs, conversions.
Right, okay. Good.
She's another lady fighter.
Good, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay, we'll definitely be in touch.
My good friend too.
Okay.
So who else can I think of at the moment? I can't think of anybody at the present time.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate you. Where should we follow you, and where are you hanging out in social media platforms? If we were looking for joint venture partnership, or where there's an investor there who's got money who wants to invest, or a developer looking for a development project, where are the places we could literally be able to contact you?
My business page is www.propertypillarsclub.com.
Okay.
So you can fill out a contact form and send an email to us through there. Okay. You can follow us on our Property Pillars Instagram page.
Yeah.
We've also got a Facebook group and a Facebook page. You can follow us. And then on my personal Facebook page as well, quite a lot of information shared on what we do at the club and the developments that we're working on. So if you look up Toyin Davidson-Ero Facebook page, and if you send a friend request, I'll be happy to accept it. And you'll be able to follow us on LinkedIn as well, which is currently on my personal LinkedIn page, information about what we do.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing your life passion with us. We really appreciate you, and really thank you. And I would look forward to actually meeting you in the future. See you in person. I know COVID has taught us a lot about doing things online, but yeah, thank you so much to you. I really appreciate your time today.
Thank you, Rahim, for interviewing me on your great platform. And I appreciate having the opportunity to come here. And I want to say, continue this work that you're doing, this great work of interviewing people, because what you're doing is you're educating a lot of people and inspiring people to move on to the next level. And by so doing, you will be tremendously blessed. So I want to encourage you to keep carrying on. And you're doing a great job, Rahim.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Cheers. Bye-bye.